Ah, anyway, I'm Kerry DeMuth. Nice to meet you all. So we're going to tackle, so those alerts are annoying. We're going to tackle best practices for taking advantage of Google search, e-commerce with online sales, and again, presence in social media. So real quick background. I'm a native of Louisville, live in the Highlands. I've been in the marketing advertising industry all my life. So 7 years television advertising, 20 years ad agency side, and 5 years VP of marketing in corporate America. And ever since the internet came out in the 90s, I've had to be a student of digital to find the right digital partners for my ad agency clients. And then in corporate America, I worked with a bunch of digital partners. And I'm so thrilled to be in my 4th year now with Rev Local, and being able to be on the cutting edge of all the changes in the digital space has been really great. So Rev Local, we're actually located in Central Ohio, and we have a nationwide footprint with consultants in the field like myself all over the country, but all of our heavy lifting is done at the home office, and our consultants in the field are more of the relationship management type folks. But the Rev Local story, we're a premier level beta test partner for Google. It's the highest level of partnership. We're also a VIP level partner with the other platforms, as well as social media platforms. So we're definitely in the thick of daily changes that are happening. And our focus is helping local businesses be found and chosen online, as well as being super easy to do business with online. So our main focus is that local search marketing that we're going to get into with the Google Maps, review marketing. Today's word of mouth advertising is in the form of online reviews, very important to your business. And then of course, paid advertising. There's all kinds of nuances in paid advertising that we can take a little bit of a deep dive into, and then how social media plays into the whole online presence. So our main focus today is to talk about this crazy year 2020 and how it's affected everyone's business. It's so interesting. I was getting ready to tell Mike earlier. I've been with Rev Local now going on to 4 years, like I was saying, and businesses that I talked to, 3 years ago about their online presence, saying, "Hey, you really need to step up your game," and they're like, "Oh no, Kerry, we don't need to worry about that." Well, now they're calling me out of the woodwork. "Oh yeah, remember when you told us that our online presence was a mess?" Yeah. Okay, so now's the time to really get serious about how people are finding you, what you look like, and how people are making decisions who to do business with in the age of COVID-19. So what we're seeing, the highest usage of the internet in the history of the internet because of quarantine, COVID-19, people working from home. One thing to take into consideration, if you're a local business with a bricks and mortar, people's daily habits have changed dramatically. So you may have had customers in the past that, hey, they may have worked in an office near where your business is, and so that's why they did business with you, because you were convenient. But hey, you know what? They live cross town, and now they're working out of their basement, and you're no longer convenient. So they got to find a whole new world to do business with that's going to be convenient for them. So understanding the customer journey, traffic patterns have changed, how people are finding people to do business with, or needing to find new people to do business with. Is really important. So again, talking about the increase in online presence, I don't know about you, but I get those alerts every week on my phone. Hey, your screen time is up to 9 hours. People are spending more and more time in front of screens, and especially in the platforms of Facebook, Netflix, and YouTube is really big. I'm so sorry, I'm in a public space. Got some people walking through here. So now's the time to really take advantage of your online presence, since so many more eyeballs are online. We don't just go online. We actually live online. So first steps, local search in Google. Making sure that you're properly built out in Google is the first step to really enhancing your online presence. So Google is the big gorilla, the elephant in the room, but there are other search engines too. So Google's the biggest search engine, but you may not realize this. The second biggest search engine is actually YouTube, which is owned by Google, consequently. So what's really interesting in this world we're living in today, I'm sure you've heard of IoT, the Internet of Things. So if anyone's bought a brand new car lately, you get the Apple CarPlay in your car, or if you bought a brand new refrigerator, GE has these models now that the refrigerator actually talks to you. So voice search has become really important, not just on your phone or your Amazon Alexa or your Google Assistant, but in actual physical appliances and cars. And the big innovator in voice search is actually the Bing platform that's being used by Amazon and Internet of Things with different vehicles and merchandise that's using Bing as a platform for voice search. So it's good to be cognizant of what's going on and how you can make sure that you're coming up for local search and for voice search. So let's talk about search. The very top is always the paid ads, as you've heard referred to, pay per click. That's our that's where Google makes all their money. Well, not all their money, but a lot of their money. And people say, oh, I never click, Kerry. I never click on those ads at the top because I know those are paid ad positions. Well, a lot of people do click on those ads. They're very effective. So when you think of paid ads at the top of search, that strategy for paid ads is called meeting the demand. That's when people know what they're looking for and they are going directly to the top of search because they're ready to buy. So that's meeting the demand. Another strategy in paid advertising is called creating the demand, where people don't really know about your business and it's more of an awareness where you want to develop what it is that you do, and that's creating the demand. So that's a different strategy than pay per click at the top of search. That's meeting the demand. So now I really want to talk about the local search section, the map and the push pins. So in 2010, Google completely changed this playing field of search and created this local search section because over 90% of their searches were showing a local intent to buy with a local business. And so that's why they created this section. So now what happened, I'm sure you've heard of organic search engine optimization, SEO. So now organic search engine optimization is at the bottom of local search. And you can click through in local search for more to see more options in local search. And statistics show that 85% of people never go below local search when they're making decisions to buy from a local supplier. So how do you effectively play in this local search section to be one of these top three, we call it the 3-pack selections for the categorical searches that you need to be found for? Well, it's a whole different ball game than organic search engine optimization. So what Google is serving up here are what they find as the 3 most relevant answers to your search query based on where you're searching from. So local search is GPS enacted, and it's going to serve up what Google thinks are the best options for you within a 5 to 15 mile radius of where you're searching from. So let's go to the next slide. So I'm sure you've seen some of these unclaimed Google listings out there where it says add missing information. And I'm sure you've probably experienced this where you're wanting to do business with someone and you want to go to their Google listing to find out information and you see this add missing information. So you're like, are they really in business? Is this someone I can trust? Do I even want to go the next step and visit that place of business? Probably not. So just as a defensive measure, it's really important to claim your Google listing and to properly build it out so that you become trustworthy, not only to Google, but also to the consumer that's looking to do business with you. So claiming listings, once you claim it, you have control over it. And that's an important thing because, especially with COVID, there's been all kinds of additions to the Google listing where now you can add special COVID information or special COVID-19 hours. So you want to be able to not only claim this and build it out properly, but you really need to manage it on an ongoing basis. So it's really simple to create a Google listing if one doesn't exist. So if you're going to claim it, you see the one that's out there, you just claim it and follow the process. But if you need to create one from scratch, you just go to business.google.com and it'll prompt you through all the steps you need to take in order to claim a Google listing. So a couple things to understand. For local search, a lot of businesses don't have bricks and mortar location, but they want to show up in local search as an option. So you may work from home, for instance. So you don't want your home address out there on Google, but you can build out your Google listing with your home address, but then list a service area instead of publishing your address. And so the service area then is based on zip codes as far north as you want to go, as far east as you want to go, as far west as you want to go, and as far south as you want to go. And that creates that geographical circle around your location without actually publicizing your location. So service area is the way that you want to go with that. Every Google listing has to have a legitimate United States Postal Service address assigned to it. So if you're in an office building that has multiple businesses in the building, you have to have a verified United States Postal Service suite number. You can't just make up a suite number. But if you're in a situation with a shared office space and you do need to make up a suite number, you just have to go through the United States Postal Service with your mail carrier to actually create a suite number for your business. So that way it'll be verified with Google. So let's see. Yeah, so how to manage your listing. So you can always add photos, you can add Google Updates, use it like Facebook for Business with posts, Google Posts. But the big one is reviews. You really need to have a review marketing strategy. So the best practices in review marketing is to respond to every single Google review that you get. And then, of course, you can actively request your customers to leave you a Google review. 70% of people will leave you a review if you ask them to, and you make it super easy for them to do that. And in the dashboard of your Google listing, there's an option where you can share your Google listing with customers, and it makes a short link, and you can send that to people and ask them to give you a Google review. So a big part of the local search algorithm is based on Google reviews. How many do you have, what the average quality score is, and how recent are they? Because if you haven't had a Google review on your Google listing in 6 months to a year, Google thinks you might have gone out of business and actually negates you in search for that. So a good goal to have would be to try to get 1 to 2 Google reviews a month, just to show that engagement with Google, that you are a viable business that people want to do business with. So as I mentioned with COVID, Google has been adding more bells and whistles to the Google listing. And it's something to check in all the time to see what updates are going on with that listing, new things that you can optimize. And so especially in the day of COVID, being able to offer online ordering or phone ordering or delivery, free shipping, curbside pickup, in-store pickup, those attributes have become really helpful for businesses.
So 7CT.
And then this is what I was mentioning before, using Google like Facebook for business. This is the Google Posts. It will stay live on the front part of your listing, of your Google listing, for 7 days, and then archive into the tab for Google updates. But if you list it, if you set up, if you have an event where it says add event and you set it up with an expiration date, it'll stay up longer than the 7 days. It'll go towards the expiration date that you put on the event. And then here's something to think about in the world of pivoting, businesses pivoting, is taking advantage of retail to go or deliveries. Here in town we have this amazing startup, relatively new startup. I don't know if you guys know Crowler Catering, but they were an event company, and we can't have events with quarantine, so they've pivoted to being a retail to go for Epicurean and interesting beers around town. So it's really, really fascinating to see how businesses are taking advantage of online tools to get the word out of the direction that they're going. And so let's talk about virtual shopping. We're seeing a lot more of hybrid models of retail and online because people still want a physical place, but if they can do a lot of their shopping ahead of time online and then just pick up the items in the store, they're more than happy to do that. So really consider that in your strategy as you're building out your retail side. So, again, communicating what your virtual shopping strategy is, that's key. And making sure that that information is getting out to your constituents through other means too, through social media, through email marketing, texting, those types of vehicles. So e-commerce and social media. So, I have a lot of clients that say, well, Kerry, I'm just online e-commerce store, and I don't need a local search marketing plan, which is true. But what does e-commerce need to be found in today's highly populated digital space? So I love this slide. E-commerce retailers are seeing a $175 billion increase in revenue due to quarantine. Yeah, I'm the first one to admit that I've been doing a lot of online shopping these days. Seems like the UPS guy's at my house every single day. So how do you take advantage of that as a local business? So we're seeing a lot of success with social media for e-commerce. So being able to communicate in social media what your offerings are, but then being able to do some targeting is super helpful. And again, that goes back to understanding who your audience is. So 80.4% of social traffic to e-commerce websites actually comes from Facebook. And this is where I mentioned earlier that strategy of creating the demand in paid advertising. And this is where Facebook has become really strong for e-commerce, where you're going through your live feed and all of a sudden you see this wacky product you've never even heard of before or didn't even have a clue existed, and you're like, wow, what is that? Click, and now you're like, I have to have it. So creating the demand is a really good strategy for utilizing social media. Yeah, so again, your business Facebook page actually resonates in the local search algorithm. Not a lot of people realize that, but being able to fully optimize your business Facebook page can help elevate you in local search. And one of the key things is consistent posting in social media. So the minimum post in order to elevate you in local search is 13 posts a month. So that's on average 3 to 4 posts a week. That's a good best practices for social media posting. So then other options, you can always boost a post. I know you get those messages all the time from Facebook. Hey, boost this post. It's super easy. But let me give you some guidance. If you do want to invest some dollars into boosting a post, look at recent posts that you've had and use the one that's getting the most traction, that already has engagement, that you can tell is resonating with your audience. People are liking it or commenting on it. That's the post you want to boost. And then being able to engage with customers. When customers do leave comments on your social media, it's always good to respond and have that engagement. And then if you're going to run targeted paid ads, you really want to identify what your strategies are before you build out the campaign. And so Instagram is owned by Facebook, and a lot of times folks will do a combined messaging, producing things for both Facebook and Instagram at the same time, because they kind of work together. But taking advantage, again, of Instagram for creating the demand in the social media space. It's great visuals. You can use video, build the relationships, instantaneous. It's a really good platform to take advantage of. And then, of course, YouTube. Like I said, YouTube is the second largest search engine, and it's a great place to have visibility and have an online presence that you can tie into your website, your social media, email marketing, your Google listing. It's a good hub for your videos. Okay, so I kind of ran through that a little quickly since we were behind time, but RevLocal is all about education, and I encourage you to reach out and be a part of the RevLocal family through our blog. We do a weekly blog post, Trends in Digital, that because the space is changing all the time, we're updating information as it's happening in real time. So you're welcome to sign up for our blog. Okay, so let's go to questions and answers. Let me switch back over. There we go. Stop sharing my screen. Okay, so do we have some questions out there?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kerry. Yeah, we've already got 2 questions. Well, it's one question really in the post from Patrick. He mentioned that he'd love to learn more about the ranking for Google Maps search. My specific being a local service business with only a service area and not a brick and mortar location. He's been saying that review count and average rating hasn't really been helping him much. You mentioned that, what was the statistic, 75% of people don't go past the local search or something like that?
Yeah.
Is that
Correct. Yeah. So Patrick, a big part of the local search algorithm is based on your digital footprint. And that is citation building through listing management listings, different directory listings that validate your business to the search engines. So I'd be happy to, if you want to reach out to me, do a deep dive on your digital footprint and show you areas to improve that. So at RevLocal, we manage over 70 listing directories on behalf of our local search clients. And what that does, we're a certifying body for building those citations. It's like getting a driver's license to drive on the internet. But that's a big part of the local search algorithm, is that digital footprint. And if there's conflicting data out there, the search engines get confused and they don't know which is the right phone number, which is the right name of the business, which is the right address. I don't know which is the right one. And that's how people end up getting buried alive in local search. And then again, consistent posting in social media will also help elevate you in local search. And then if you do anything in paid ads, that ties into the local search algorithm as well. Yeah, so feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to take a look individually at your specific situation and give you some recommendations.
Is it just Facebook and Instagram, or is it like TikTok and everything?
Yeah, so the ones that register with Google for local search: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Those are the 4 main platforms that your consistent activity in those platforms will help you in local search engine marketing.
Patrick also Patrick also asks if there's any tips that you have for getting above those top 10 lists like Home Advisor. How do you get above those on those lists?
Yeah. So again, when we did the anatomy of search and we saw that the pay-per-click was at the top, and then the 3-pack of local search, and then organic search below local search, and specifically because of the way that local search has taken over, typically in categorical searches now, those first 3 to 5 listings are going to be aggregated lists, the top 10, best 5, top 20, or a major national platform like a Yelp or a Home Advisor. Okay, so the way to play that game, if you have your digital footprint properly built out and you're getting really good Google reviews, then you're going to resonate as one of those top 10 or top 20 or top 5 aggregated list choices. But the interesting thing that's happened, the main focus for consumers that are wanting to work with a local business, that want to buy from a local business, they're making those decisions in that local search section. They're not sifting through pages and pages of organic search to get to a specific website for a company that's not showing up in local search. It's just not happening. So
those Yelps, because they've got so much driven traffic with all the backlinks they have, there's probably not much competing in that section otherwise, other than local and paid, right? Is that basically just because of how much traffic they're driving to those? Evelyn is asking, so Evelyn used to be Access Explorer, but she recently rebranded to Good Maps. And on Google, when searching for Good Maps, it's saying that Google Maps is popping up every time. How can you get around this? How are there any tips and tricks to fix this issue? Obviously, with the GOO and Maps, it's probably some sort of some confusion there. But what would you recommend for her to fix that issue, to come up a little bit more prominently?
Oh, wow. It takes time. Access is word Good Maps. Yeah, it's going to take some time to build out that credibility with search engines that Good Maps is not Google Maps. So yeah, if you want to get with me offline, I can show you what I'm talking about.
Something that Kerry helped me with Holy Gin that reminds me of how this could potentially help everyone with that. Just as Kerry mentioned, there's like 70, 80, 100 different search engines, right, Kerry? Like,
Well, they're listing directories, and yeah, it's
so
the
making
listing directories that are causing those problems.
Yeah, making sure that you have on every single one of those directories the change from Access Explorer to Goodman to produce a better score for you. So
Yeah.
some of them are no-name directories that you would have never thought of, but because they still exist and because you could potentially drag information from them, it's best to have all of your information, phone numbers, websites, name, everything's across the board, no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. So we offer a free directory scan where I can put your data in and run a scan exactly what the search engines do when they get a search query and show you your digital footprint. So you can see, I've had folks that I've met with where, I'll show them the results of the directory scan and they're like, oh my gosh, Kerry, I haven't been at that location in 3 years or 10 years. And what's that still doing out there? Well, it's causing havoc still being out there is what it's doing. Oh, but yeah, those are the things that we help businesses clean up and manage. Yeah.
What other questions do we have for Kerry? I didn't realize how much impact social media has on those scores. What other social media having the directories all the same? What are some other points of you mentioned this, the ratings, the what are other sources of that algorithm?
Oh, for the local search algorithm. So I know we spent a lot of time today on the Google listing. However, the same thing exists in Bing and in Yahoo that people don't pay attention to. I know. It seems like only people like my parents are still on Yahoo, but it still resonates in the local search algorithm. So if you haven't claimed out your Bing listing or your Yahoo listing, you kind of need to do that as well. And then the major directory listings, and then the Google reviews themselves. That piece of the local search algorithm is now 13% of the algorithm is based on those Google reviews. So that's a big piece of the puzzle too. And then being mobile friendly, mobile optimized in your digital presence. Last year was the first year that Google switched from indexing desktop first to indexing mobile first because the majority of searches are done on a mobile device. So now, as of last year, if you have one of those old-fashioned websites where you have to pinch and squeeze to get it to show up on your phone, Google won't even serve that up as an option in local search. So, yeah,
Your
pretty
website
crazy.
mobile optimized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What other questions do we have for Kerry? Kerry, in your actual website, are you able, you just mentioned a good one, which is making sure that you have mobile capabilities for your website, but what are some other tricks for being inside of your actual website can you do to help with search? I've heard backlinking is obviously a good one,
Mm-hmm.
drive traffic through and to you. What are some other tips and tricks?
Yeah, so embedding video is super helpful. Video is a big way of today. Just short little snippets. Doesn't have to be a big, long, involved type of video, but that helps elevate you too. And then just being able to have current information on your website, making sure that you don't have old, outdated information that conflicts with your digital footprint. Like I was meeting with a business just last week. They've got their Google listing with the correct address, and they moved like 2 years ago, but their website still has their old address on it. So, things like that you just need to stay on top of to make sure you have the most current information everywhere possible.
So you mentioned posting videos and snippets to your website. Could embedding your social medias so that they directly feed your website do the same thing? Is that more powerful, less
Yep.
powerful?
Yeah, it's so easy just to add the live Instagram feed widget to your website. Highly recommend that. Another one, you bring up a good point when you said snippets. I'm sure you've noticed sometimes when you've searched for like you've searched out a long question, and you'll get these snippets back instead of a local search type of thing. It's, questions and answers. So we highly recommend people to build out a frequently asked questions page on your website, exactly how people would ask those long tail keyword questions, and then build out the answers in a paragraph on a page. And then that helps with those snippet type of searches where you become the result with your snippet from your frequently asked questions page.
Thank you, Kerry. Anything else for Kerry, question-wise? How to optimize your website, get your local search terms going. I know something you did for Holy was, even though we had a website, you created a localized website. What is the purpose of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in our local search plan, we actually create a microsite that, think of it as an index page to your website, or like a book jacket around a book. It's designed specifically to drive traffic to the website. And the reason that we created this microsite or index page, if you will, we're plugged into the daily local search algorithm updates that feed directly into our automated platform. So all of our clients, that index page is getting local search algorithm updates daily. And so I know from experience that web developers, even though they might have some SEO packages that you could buy, that kind of thing, they're not getting the local search and voice search updates like we are. So we plug that in to that interim index page to help elevate you in local search. Yeah, good question.
Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kerry. That was super insightful. I'm going to hit stop recording.